Hi, in this segment we're going to take a look at the new lead form. So in the previous segments we created the Tucker Middle School, and now we're looking at the form that was created once we entered that information and did new. So one of the first things you'll notice about the form is that we have kind of more of a tab orientation instead of everything all on the same page. That's just an attempt to kind of help make the information flow a little bit nicer, and plus I can hide some information and only show it when it's appropriate. So at the top of the form, it'll show you how many days it's been a lead, show you the current status, and if as you're working with the lead, if you recognize that, oh, this really shouldn't be a lead, we already have an account, the transfer lead function is still available. So that will come in and take you into this, which in order to do the transfer, you do have to look up the account number of the one that you're transferring to, and then do the verify and then transfer. But in this case, we're just going to go back to the lead. That is the same function that's currently out in production right now. So as you're working the lead, most likely you've already made a phone call or communicated through email, and now you should record information of at least that you have the first contact. So to do that, we're just going to go into log a call. We'll say it's an initial contact, put in some comments, whatever. You can leave all this information pretty much the way it is. This is what kind of associates it to the lead record. In this case, I'm also going to say that I need a technical discussion to maybe find out, do they have people that are qualified to give tests, and what kind of environment do they have? Are they capable of running the system, that sort of thing. So we're going to say that this one is just a follow-up call. And we're going to do it for the Monday the 11th. You can put comments if you want, or have a reminder, so we're not going to set up a reminder. So now whenever I save, we have one open activity and then our closed call activity. Also, in the notes and attachments section, I'd like everybody to get familiar with that and start using that. I know the sales people had a sales exec field, which was just an open text box where you would put dates in and comments, and that's really not a good way to track all of that. You should just create a new note in this case. Just give it whatever title you want, and record whatever you want to save. You can also make it private as well. All right, so now you save your note. The good thing is it timestamps everything, and it makes it a little bit easier for tracking purposes if anybody needs to go back and take a look at the info. All right, so from your first initial calls and contacts, you're gathering the information. So if you need to change any information here, you can, but most likely now you have their address and that kind of thing. So we're going to go with putting in their information. And we're going to say that this is Pittsburgh, PA 15219. And one thing you'll notice too right now is you can automatically do a Google search based off of the company name. But there was no MapQuest or anything because we didn't have an address yet. So I'll show you how that gets displayed now after we do some saves here. But it does track, it remembers the tax exempt information that we put in from the lead new page. At this point, it shows us our initial contact, which was Tucker McTester. We can go in and put in, Mr. Tucker. We can create a suffix if we want. Give them the title. I don't know. He's the director. And at some point, like I said, you need to give an email address. We'll just give an email address at this point right now. That will save us some headaches down the road. You'll notice that there's a field for another contact. This actually sets us up so that we can set up a primary and a billing contact at this point. If I don't say that this is the primary, it will squawk at me whenever I try to save. So I'm going to at least say that this is the primary contact right now. I can also say they're the billing one as well. So now whenever I save, now I have entered the contact information. We actually do, since we had that initial call, we want to come in and set the lead status to contacted. Now this is something I'm going to try to automate for the process in the next release. So if I see any activity records or logged a call, then it will set the stage to contact it. All right, so now at this point, you will be talking further with the lead to see, if they do have the qualified personnel, whether they want the training. And at this point, they're just a lead. So you don't know what their level of interest is, how much they're willing to spend, what their budget is. So once you get that information, you're basically trying to get them to become a qualified lead. And only whenever they become qualified, then you can move on to the next stage, which is kind of a contract phase. So for right now, we're assuming we've had that conversation, and we're going to come in and say, yeah, they do have qualified personnel. They do want training. They don't want to be part of a pilot group. Maybe the projected revenue is going to be $20,000, and their rating right now is pretty hot. They're excited, and the anticipated close date we're just going to say is maybe the 18th. This is just a guess. Maybe just based on conversations of when they're ready to engage. But this is more for marketing perspective. This doesn't necessarily really go into any other aspect of the process. All right, so at this point, we're contacted. We're going to save that. And now we determine, yeah, this is a viable candidate. They really want to buy. So how do we move on to the next stage? So that next stage would be creating the contract. That will be in the next segment.